This is Rack Noble here with Boxing UK. I'm here with Shane McGUIGAN. Shane, it seems to be going pretty good in the gym. Tell me about it.
Yes, good. It's a busy, thriving gym. So I've got three out next week. And yeah, we've got the media day down here for Caroline, Adam, and Hassan.
So, of course, it's going into next week. Boxer show in London. Adam is going against a 12-0 Nicaraguan. Do you know much about him?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some footage of him. He can box a little bit, he can fight a little bit, good combination punches as well. So, and most of the time, Nicaraguan kids are tough and they come to have a go. They don't want to lie down, so they're stubborn. So that's what we want. That's what we had an option of potentially getting someone that was a washed up, not a washed up fighter, but a has been fighter that's in America or someone that's a slight bigger name, but or you fight a kid that actually doesn't know how to lose and comes and gives us the best shot. So that's what we chose.
Do you think this fight we might get some rounds out of Adam?
That's what we're hoping. Hopefully we can go past 3-4 rounds.
And I've gone on to Caroline Dubois. She's fighting a former world champion, someone who's fought Terry Harper.
Unfortunately, she's just been pulled out a couple of like a day ago. So we got a new opponent that's actually higher ranked, and yeah, that we're going to be announcing that soon. So we're just firming it up. So she's she's an unbeaten prospect as well. So it's a big acid test for Caroline.
How long till Caroline's fighting for world championships? Because she seems to be up there.
Yeah, she's got the ability. She just needs a little bit more experience. So I feel like we're going to do this is an 8 rounder, and then we'll maybe do one more 8 rounder or a 10 rounder, and then we're going to try and fight for. Even if we fight for like an IBO world title fight, even though it's not, it's not got the same prestige as the other belts, it's still a good sort of stepping stone to fight for more.
And just switching on to Azim, of course, there's been a lot of talk about him being world level, him fighting for world titles. But as a coach, I'm sure you want to just ease it down, take it a bit slow. Where do you see Adam by the end of 2023?
Yeah, well, look, I coach and manage him, and I'm one of the first people to be raving about him and saying how great he is. And what I see in the gym, I've had a lot of great fighters in my gym, but this kid is a special talent. So, is there much merit in holding him back too much? Do you know what I mean? We are going to have to get a few more acid tests. We're going to have to get some hurdles. We're not going to skip European level and go on to fight for fringe world level before because I believe there's a lot of good European fighters that we can fight on the way through. But at the end of 2023, I wanted to be potentially a European champion, and and then defend it. And then by the end of 2024, I wanted to be fighting for a world title.
So you've got a few fighters in the gym that are on the verges of world titles. One holds a world title. How do you keep the gym grounded, and how do yourself as a coach keep yourself grounded from what might be over the corner in the next year or so?
Well, I've had a lot of people in the gym before, and I've always kind of stayed grounded. I just love what I do. I love training fighters. I take as much um, pride training and development talent as I do training world champions. It's just because I like seeing people get better, and I like trying to help them get better and fulfill their potential. So, yeah, for the fighters to stay grounded is a different thing because it's when they go home and they go back to if Adam goes back to Slough and he's got his whole family and all the other people on the streets gassing him up. That's unfortunately sometimes that is what happens, but there's nothing like humbling people through these four walls. This gym's a humbling experience, whether it's in sparring or pad work or or just communication, because you know you're just a normal person, and you might meet people on the way up, but you're going to meet the same people on the way down. You've got to be nice to people all the time, and that's our motto.
Talking of a humble guy, I just spoke to him not too long ago, Chris Smith. Humblest guy. You wouldn't probably think he's ranked in four of the world organizations. On the verge of a world title, seems to be very, very leveled. What's the plans out next for Chris?
Yeah, well, within the contract, it's to be fighting for a world title. So hopefully we can get that delivered. We've worked really hard to get into this position. Whether it's Jay Optair's got a shoulder injury, so I think he's. I don't think it's going to put him out too much. But Badou Jack's fighting Ilingu Makabu for the WBC, and then you've got Lawrence as well, and then you've got Gulamarian. So there's some options out there for Chris, but we're going to just sit down with the whole team together and try and map out the best option.
Will you be keeping an eye on the Badu Jack Makabu fight
Yeah,
on the 26th?
yeah, of course we will. I actually think Badou Jack might do it. Even though I believe he lost his last fight, I feel like he didn't perform very well. But Lingo Bukabu's been inactive, and he's had a couple of, he's been dropped a few times, and Badou Jack's a very neat counter puncher, good at fighting in short range. So I'm interested in that fight. Whether I believe they're going to want to come to the UK, the winner's going to want to come to the UK after. It's just, with Mukabu, you've got Don King that's involved. Don King, he used to pay these fighters millions of pounds in the 70s. So his idea of what people should be paid in 2023 is completely different. He thinks fighters should be getting paid 40, 50, 100 million. Because that's the equivalent of what he was paying fighters. But boxing was a much more mainstream sport back then, and it was less diluted than it is now. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, we can get our hands on one of the belts. That's the most important thing.
And just going on to Ellie Scotney, she's of course mandated for the IBF, Shanika Johnson at super bantamweight. Fight was meant to happen in February, but it's not come through with a date. Any news on that?
Yeah, she's asked for an extension, so we might have to be boxing for the interim belt. There's a New Zealand girl that's next in line, so hopefully we'll have an interim fight before we box Shanika Johnson in the summer. So we've got to keep winning, got to keep doing our thing, and progressing.
And just lastly, on Daniel Dubois, what's his current status? Is he back in the gym training, and has he got potential for a fight date coming up?
Well, he's mandated for USYK, and whether USYK fights Tyson Fury or not will remains to be seen. But we'll sit patiently waiting on our shot.
So just lastly, looking at your gym, you've got a bit of everything. You've got all champions, got mandatories, you've got female fighters, potential female champion. You've got everything but a YouTube boxer, it seems.
Yeah, well, I was doing a bit of work with Tommy Fury at one stage, but that's because his dad and his brother couldn't go to America. But even though he's not a YouTube boxer, he'd probably be quite offended. But he is boxing a YouTuber. I don't know. I'm quite a boxing purist. Look, if someone came through the door and it was the right business decision, it didn't take up too much time and distraction away from my day-to-day fighters, I'd be up for it.
And just from a bit of coaching perspective, of course, Eubank Smith a couple of weeks ago talked of a rematch. We could potentially see some of your fighters on that. In a rematch, what advice would you give Eubank to change the outcome of that fight?
Get back to punching in combinations. Get back to not messing about. I heard a lot of people were down there sparring him, and he wasn't really taking himself, like, the sparring sessions, that serious. I feel like he felt he probably was going to walk this fight. I don't know about the weight. The weight was a worry. He looked like he lost a lot of muscle for that Conor Benn cut, and him being 33, you can't put muscle on quite as quickly as you can when you're 21, 22. So I don't want to make excuses for him. I felt like Liam Smith done a fantastic job. He followed up his combination. He hurt him and he followed it up. That's what George hurt him a few times, but he didn't follow up the combinations, and Liam did. So that's where he got him. But that's not the same Chris Eubank Jr. that boxed George Groves or the other fighters. So he needs to get his strength back, have a bit of time off, and then personally get himself away from Roy Jones. Roy Jones is one of my favourite fighters, but there's a level of authority that Eubank Jr. needs, and a level of stiffness within his shots and tighten up his guard and stuff. Even though he's never been one of these guys, but even when you saw box Spike O'Sullivan or Eubank, with Nick Blackwell, he punched in combinations. He punched through the target. He didn't flick his shots. He wasn't loose on the exit. He was always rolling out, and he was quite neat and tidy. Get back to that, because that's where he's at his most effective. All right.
Thank you for your time, Shay. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. Cheers, mate.